Hey everybody, Questwise here, and as you may know, if you've been following the channel for a while, I put a lot of time and effort into researching every game, every RPG that I want to put in my personal collection. Um, More of a personal thing than anything else, but also to pass that along, that sort of knowledge along to you. I want to make sure that the games that I'm representing on my channel are things that I really, really enjoy, things that I want to run, and things that I want to explore more and more in depth as the years go on. And thus, if it's something that, if you enjoy my channel, you enjoy the things that I'm doing, then you'll enjoy the games that I have on my shelf. One of those games, the game we're going to talk about today, is kind of an embarrassing story for me because it's a game that I've looked at for a very, very long time. And I've never pulled the trigger on it. And I'll give you a little bit of background story into my journey up into this point. But the game I'm referring to today is Castles and Crusades by Troll Lord Games. Years ago, I heard about this game, and I did a little bit of research at the time and began to think about how it differed, how it would be better than, say, D&D, or how it would be better than, say, Palladium Fantasy, or any other sort of fantasy OSR game that's out there currently on the market. Why do I need a new game? Why do I need a new fantasy sort of OSR inspired or OSR type of game? And I continued for quite a while, and I had heard other people talk about it, and I'd heard people talk about the Castles and Crusades Society, and while I was at GaryCon this last April, I got to meet and talk with several of the folks from Troll Lord Games and the Castles and Crusades RPG. And I talked with one of them at length for probably a good 45 minutes to an hour, and he showed me and described to me everything that was awesome about Castles and Crusades. He took the time with me to go through every single product and its benefits and what it could do for the game, bring to the game. He talked about all the different options there were to expand the game. He talked to me about some of the other games that they have as well too. And I, embarrassingly, never got a chance to go back to their booth in order to pick up some products. I was at that point ready to take the dive and buy an entire giant bundle of books from them, but for some reason never really pulled the trigger and got caught up in a bunch of other stuff, and had never had the chance to sort of make it back to their booth to grab some stuff. After returning home and mulling it over for a little while, I still there was something inside me that just wasn't ready, I guess, or was just holding back for some reason. So I got online and I thought, do I want to pay the price for a brand new RPG that's, is it going to be good enough to supplant, D&D, or is it going to be good enough to supplant my love of Kobold Press's products and stuff as well too? And so I got online and I looked up some of the older editions, and I believe this is, and I shouldn't say editions, they call them printings, but I believe this is the fourth printing of the Player's Handbook. I could be completely wrong. I know that I think it was the fourth printing of this and the fifth printing of the Monster Manual, or Monsters and Treasure book. But from the research I did, I had heard that basically anything from third printing on was basically the same, and that it was pretty safe to pick up anything. In fact, one of the gentlemen I talked to online said that he has every book from every edition or every printing and uses them interchangeably at the table all the time. I'm really kicking myself for not picking this up sooner. Castles and Crusades is, while very similar to D&D, adds a whole lot of new flavor and a whole lot of new options and a whole different sort of feel to the game that D&D doesn't seem to provide. And while I'm a fan of D&D, and as you can see, I Fifth edition, as of late, has begun to lose my interest a bit, and I've been looking for games that have a little bit more depth and a little bit more um, substance to them. I guess it's kind of hard to explain, but again, a personal preference of mine. There's nothing wrong with any of those games, um, but Castles and Crusades has been one of those things. I've read through this book like 2 or 3 times now, two times fully, third time kind of briefly, and it's really gripping to me. It's got some very unique ideas, and it's got some very great innovations to this thing, while being very similar to all the other D20 games that you know and love, be it D&D 5th edition or some of the other OSR products. It stands out on its own, and I'm really, now it does have a very great cult following. It also has a great community out there as well too. If you just get online and Facebook or anywhere and look up Castles and Crusades, the fan community behind this game is fantastic. Everybody's been super helpful. Everybody's been amazingly friendly. And that feels really, really good. It's not something you find in every fan community of every game out there. But Castles and Crusades, I feel like everybody is there for a common cause, and they all really, really love this game, and they're there because of this game. And they have a true passion for bringing this game to the tabletop. So what do I mean when I say that this is different? And it's not. And if you have any experience with OSR games or any D20 products, you'll understand this very well. It's very, very similar to that idea. But what I really love about this book, this product, this line of games, is, well, first of all, a sort of attribute-based system. Finally, right? This is something that you see in other types of games, like skill-based games and stuff. But you in a lot of other D20 games, you have these attributes, right? We know the core six: there's strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. They feel like they've sort of lost a purpose sometimes in a game. The attributes really only give you a bonus to certain roles for things. Castles and Crusades changes that. Castles and Crusades brings the attributes to the forefront of the game, making them the most important aspect of your character, I believe, in that they're very flexible in things. So rather than just using strength to attack somebody in a fight, why not use dexterity one time, right? If you want to make more of a finesse type of an attack. Why not use charisma to talk your way out of a fight? Do some, using a different attribute for a different situation, to me, feels really cool. It feels like it adds a lot more depth to your character and what your character might be really good at and what your character might not be very good at all. Not every character is going to be, 18s across the board. Not everybody's the strongest. Not everybody's the smartest. Not everybody's the most dexterous. Not everybody's the most charismatic. But all characters are good at certain things, and Castles and Crusades really brings those ideas to the forefront. The other thing that's really cool, though, is that because of certain situations, you might be forced to roll under an attribute that you're not very good at, and thus that brings a lot more role playing to the game. It brings a lot more sort of depth to the characters and the situations that they're at hand. Currently, the only 2 books I own, and again, like I said, these are earlier printings, are the Player's Handbook and the Monsters and Treasure book. But one of the things I saw at GaryCon that really, really influenced me, because I'm a huge history buff. If you've been following the channel for a while, you've probably heard me talk about all that kind of stuff. I love their sort of mythic series. They have ones on Germania and one on Rome and one on Norse mythos and stuff. I'm really looking forward to checking those out. I really want to bring those to Castles and Crusades. And I feel like this is a very great, very heroic kind of a game, and a game that can bring sort of mythic heroes and stories to life. One of the things we're going to be talking about in the future here on the channel is how to channel those old stories, those old folklore, mythic tales, things like the Iliad and Beowulf and Joseph Campbell's Hero with a Thousand Faces and the Power of Myth, the Grail Quest. We're going to be talking about all that kind of stuff coming up very, very soon here on the channel. And I want to explore those kinds of things with Castles and Crusades as well. I hope if you haven't had a chance to check out Castles and Crusades, please do so. Like I said, and I'm actually kicking myself. I'm going to go back and actually try to find myself get a couple copies of the most recent printing of this game. But for now, I've been having a lot of fun with just this older printing as well too. So if you can find these and you haven't tried this out, I highly recommend you put these on your bookshelf, part of your personal collection. Do that today. Do it as soon as possible. You will not be sorry that you've picked up these books. They are very well written as well. The artwork is amazing in them as well too. And I can't say much for the other printings, but the paper in these it just adds to the feel to it. It's very sort of sepia, almost like a thick kind of papyrus kind of paper. It's very, very nice. Very fits to the appeal and the aesthetic of Castles and Crusades. Troll Lord Games, go and check these guys out ASAP. Great fan community, great designers, great writers, great folks at this company. Until next time, another high recommendation from Questwise. I'm out.